Being a three-time NBA All-Star means you're pretty much set for the rest of your career, unless you're Ben Simmons. With all the recent financial trouble that the Nets point guard has gotten himself into, you can't help but wonder, will his poor financial decisions ruin his career? The fans were shocked to learn that Ben Simmons might just be on his way to going broke. That's right, the news started making rounds back in 2022, while Ben was still a part of the Philadelphia 76ers. And let's just say everything was fine until Simmons suddenly asked for a trade last season. After the request, Simmons continued to sit out almost every game, claiming that he just wasn't mentally fit enough to be playing. However, there was a lot of speculation about some beef between Simmons and the Sixers head coach Doc Rivers. Not just that, Simmons was also rumored to have issues with former teammate Joel Embiid, as well as the fans of the franchise. And while Simmons denied all of these claims, that's where the trouble started. He started racking up fines for every game he missed, and you won't believe me when I break the news. Simmons lost over $19 million in fines. Every game that he missed cost him $360,000. Add all of that up, and you get a number that's, well, pretty scary if you ask me. A lot of fans assumed that Simmons would eventually give in and start playing just so he wouldn't go broke. But apparently the athlete didn't care about any of that. Sources close to Simmons revealed that his decision to demand a trade was never motivated by money at all. That makes me wonder, why did Simmons ask for a trade? Well, according to these very sources, Simmons just didn't feel comfortable playing for the franchise anymore. He wanted to be away from the 76ers, even if it made him go broke. And while it definitely has been a financial hit, it doesn't matter to Simmons.
Mr. Softy. That's tough. He's hustling, though. He gets the steal, and then Durant throws down the slam, and he is fired up. Look at him.
I mean, how many people would actually want to lose money over something like this? If Simmons was willing to do so, he must have had a good reason, right? But that begs the question, is Ben Simmons really broke? After all of this went down, the fans couldn't help but wonder if the fines drained Simmons financially. I mean, add a whopping $19,000 to the athlete's already luxurious and expensive lifestyle, and the numbers have got to add up. And well, for a while, things were pretty difficult for Simmons. At least that's what Howard Eskin of 94 WIP had to say during an episode of his evening radio show. Eskin claimed that someone close to Simmons had told him that the point guard was practically broke. The reason behind this wasn't just the fine amount, though. With his $17.5 million home, other properties worth around $9 million, and all the fancy new cars, Simmons spends his money like it's nothing. Maybe that's why he wasn't afraid to lose out on a couple million with his Sixers. Of course, this doesn't negate the fact that Simmons might have some pretty serious cash flow issues, but I guess we won't know for sure until he comes out himself and announces it to the world. But what do the franchise have to say about this? Right from the start, the 76ers have had one thing to say. The franchise has maintained that Simmons has breached their contract. And how has he done that? Well, not only did he refuse to play in the preseason and regular season before he was traded off to the Nets, but Simmons also failed to show up for the start of training camp and refused to participate in any team activities.
Factor here against the Grizzlies with how they're able to operate in the post and get to the basket.
Simmons entering the post, wheels around, and he hits. How about that?
This brought the two parties to a weird standoff, where Simmons didn't want to play for the 76ers and the franchise didn't want to pay him any money. Things got to a point where an arbitrator had to step in for a settlement to be reached, and that's how you know that Simmons definitely ruined his relationship with the 76ers forever. But if there's one thing that soured the dynamic even more, it was the endless discussion on Simmons' mental health.
After that series, I'm getting it's like from the people that you're supposed to have the support from or that, you know, that comfort from. And I wasn't getting that either. So it was just a lot. It was a toll on me. And then mentally, it killed me. I was like,
I'll be honest, things get a little messy here. The 76ers didn't hesitate to bring up the fact that Simmons decided to use a personal therapist instead of the one that works with the team. But of course, Simmons' representatives maintained the fact that mental health can't be seen. And so, any discussion over it is going to be confusing. The other side of the story was, of course, the fact that Simmons was okay to take the financial hit as long as he got the trade that he wanted. Thankfully, though, the two parties did come to an agreement agreement. The Sixers reached a settlement regarding the salary that they were withholding from Simmons for his constant absence during the 2021-2022 season. Most of the deal is still under wraps, and I still can't tell you for sure what went down.
Those little actions in early offense, though, are the things you look for in the preseason.
Oh, Simmons over his head to Claxton for the flush.
But if rumors are to be believed, Simmons was able to walk away with $20 million out of his $33 million salary from last season. Now, I know this seems like a pretty ideal situation, especially with Simmons being traded off to the Nets. But in the aftermath of it all, Simmons has become virtually untradeable. Why do I say that? Let's look at the facts here. This time last year, the entire world was waiting to see what would happen to Simmons after he had openly picked a fight with his own franchise. So when Simmons made his way over to the Nets, fans expected him to deliver. And that's exactly what he didn't do. Only one season in, and Simmons has hit a career low with 7.4 points, 6.5 rebounds, and 6.4 assists per game.
Simmons, take a little hook shot, can't get it to go. Claxton finds Simmons cutting, and he will dump that one in.
For the kind of paycheck the Nets are giving him, that kind of performance just isn't acceptable. And if that wasn't enough, wait till you find out that he has also been benched in a bunch of games. So the question here is, will the Nets trade him off for someone better? Well, with the $78.2 million they owe to him over the next 2 seasons, that might not be possible in the near future. The best shot that the team has right now is to attach some other assets to get rid of Simmons. I'll be fair to the player though, maybe this lack in performance is because of his ongoing knee issues, but maybe, just maybe, his time in the game is up.
What happened in the first half? Joe sees Ben Simmons, and I don't know if he's just trying to get it over the outstretched arms of Steven Adams.
Coach Vaughn certainly seems to think so. The Nets coach isn't happy with Simmons, and he isn't afraid to let everyone know that. Vaughn expressed his opinion right after Simmons failed to see out the second game of a back-to-back, resulting in a loss for the team. Not just that, but Durant has also gone on the record to talk about how he isn't happy with Simmons' performance after the trade. All of this means that Simmons didn't prove to be the player that Kyrie Irving needs around him for the Nets to win big. But now that the Nets have traded Irving, things might be a little different.
For a dribble handoff back to Kyrie. That's being denied right now by Kawhi, but Irving made a cut and scores his first point since the Dallas Maverick. And the Mavs have a 10-0 run in progress right now.
Rumor has it that the Brooklyn Nets are planning on rebuilding their team with the latest trade. But in the middle of all this, Simmons is going to be a hard player to deal with. Why do I say that? Well, because like I said, he has practically no trade value right now.
We'll take a look at the beauty of a pass as a dime. Simmons with the punch.
That's how Ben Simmons might be ruining his career with his poor financial decisions. See you next time.